Hey everybody, it's Scotty from Scotty's Record Shop with another artist profile. This one is a group that, well, it's not the first group you'd think of when it comes to probably wanting to make an artist profile of. Not that they're bad, but it's just I don't know how to explain it. You'll see, you probably know by the heading because you look at the band's called Ambrosia. And if you were around in the 70s or early 80s, you definitely probably knew who Ambrosia was. And maybe you more remember them for their pop success than their progressive rock kind of period. But I think they're a great band all the way around. I want to show you what I have. I pretty much have, I guess, probably everything by them for the most part. Everything worthwhile having anyway. Let me put my little mousey down here. Okay. They were formed in around 1969. The name came from my understanding, from their desire to explore all kinds of different music, hence like an ambrosia salad, kind of, but it's musically kind of an ambrosia music salad. And they kind of really did. They explored progressive rock, jazz to some extent, some R&B to a certain extent, some flat-out rock and roll. A very interesting group. Let's get into it, okay? Their first album, fantastic album, 1976. I believe 75 actually. I'm sorry for this one. There's your first album. It's one of those I've had for years, but I'll show you the label. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna pull this out because I won't ever be able to get it back in. Let me show you the. There you go. 20th century. Two really great songs on here. Their first critical, like, commercial success with the song Holding On to Yesterday. Great song. And the song Nice Nice, very nice. Great song. And I mean, the whole album is just fantastic all the way through. There's their first record. Their next album with some great, oh, by the way, produced by Alan Parsons, by the way. So, and for those of you, I like Alan Parsons Project, and I think pretty much everything Alan Parsons touches is usually turns out really wonderful. He's such a wonderful engineer and producer. Okay, next one we get is Somewhere I've Never Traveled Before. The great thing about this is this actually, I say I'm not going to do it, but every time I say I'm not going to do something, I end up doing it. Well, let's show you the inside first. From the top, she loads from the top, and again, at this point, they're still on. There's your record, but this thing turns into a pyramid. It's really weird. And I'm gonna open her up, but she kind of turns into a pyramid. I'm not gonna. That's the way the cover is. It's really kind of cool. I'm not gonna fold the flaps. I don't want to wreck it, but. A very interesting cover. You know, same deal as the first album. I mean, just a really solid album. 1976. Okay. They did some soundtrack work. A couple different ones. I'm going to show you one. The one to me that really matters. And this would be interesting for a lot of you Beatle buffs. A lot of you probably have this one. Great packaging, too, for this one. All this in World War II. A lot of people on this. You know, when you think of soundtrack, Beatle music being used for soundtrack, first thing, of course, you think of is Sgt. Pepper, but this was a couple of years before Sgt. Pepper. Ambrosia does a really nice, very heavily orchestrated version of Magical Mystery Tour, which was issued as a single. But I mean, this has got like Keith Moon on here. Let me see here. Elton John's on here. The Bee Gees are on here. Leo Sayers on here. I mean, there's Roy Wood's on here. Keith Moon, like I said. That's just side one. It's a double album. Fantastic packaging as well. Let me see if I can pull this out a little bit. There's your kind of an inner sleeve. It comes in like a box. Very hard. Wonderful record. She opens up. I'll take the poster inside here. Opens up. Ambrosia only gets one song on this, but again, there's a booklet that comes with this thing. This is just a really, I love that part. There's a cutout. Really, just really nice packaging for this. And just, if you're a Beatle fan, this is a really interesting record and a really strange movie. But anyway, 1976, for that one, put this back. We have a label change coming up here for them. 1978. If only for the song Life Beyond LA, I'll tell you. I remember when this is the album, by the way, Life Beyond LA, 1978. Life Beyond LA is just, I think, probably my favorite Ambrosia song. This met with some really good commercial success. They had hit singles off of this, but at this point in time, they're on Warner Brothers Records, Tapes, and 8-Tracks, 1978. Another great one. These aren't really hard to find. I mean, what, $2-3 maybe. You may even get lucky and find them in your dollar bin. Who knows? But they're really worth it, in my opinion. You know, I really like these guys. Okay, a couple more albums to go. The album 180, issued in 1978. I'm sorry, 1980. There's a little hype sticker talking about one of the hit singles. There were 2 singles off this that did quite well. The band went through a lot of additions and subtractions. The core of members kind of stayed the same for the most part, but they added a few people and stuff. This album was definitely, the album's called 180, and people were like, well, they called it 180 because they really took a drastic musical change on this record in some respect. And people were like, well, that's why they called it. And actually, from the story that I read, the reason they called it 180 was because they started recording it in January of 1980. So they called it 180. Show you the inner sleeve, because this has got a custom inner sleeve. There you go. Yeah, not a bad record at all. You know, a little more poppy and kind of R&B-ish in some respects. But still a good record for Ambrosia. Pop that puppy back in here. One more album for them. Like I said, there are some soundtrack stuff that they did in the early 80s as well, which I don't really have, wasn't overly significant. But this last album really gets overlooked and rolled over by people. And it didn't sell really well. The album Rhode Island. This would be their last album as well. The band didn't wait too long after realizing they weren't selling very well, and they ditched it. They ditched their careers. But this has got some very good moments on it for sure. Something, again, if you're looking, you know, in your dollar bin or something. I'm not sure if you're going to get this one for $1, but you wouldn't have to pay too much. Like I said, it didn't sell all that well. But Rhode Island, the last Ambrosia LP. That's, anyway, my look at the band Ambrosia. As always, I want to thank everybody for checking these videos out and subscribing to their channel. It's nice to know that that I'm not talking to myself, that people are actually watching these things and hopefully enjoying them. This little artist profile type thing that I try to do at least once a week. So anyway, with that, close in my usual manner. Until next time, peace and love.